I'm just getting out of therapy, and I just got calmed all the way down. We did a nice mindfulness exercise, and all of the anxiety that I had just this morning has gone away. I swear, for me, and it's so crazy because my therapist and I, we were so in sync today. And so she was telling me that she was trying to figure out what she would work on with me today, and trying to figure out, like, where am I at emotionally with my anxiety, because she can't really tell and neither can I. So we both kind of figured it out together, or she helped me figure it out. And ultimately, it just came down to me understanding that I just need space. Like, I have to give myself space in every aspect of my life. And if I don't have that, that's when the anxiety comes, because she calls me a little firecracker, because once one thing I get excited about, or like I have to do, just, a list of things, whatever, my brain just won't stop firing. And then sometimes it's a whole explosion sometimes. So we did this exercise where I was able to say an affirmation to just help me know that I am grateful, and that I have power over my worry. And so breathing in between those words and being able to express a vibration throughout my body through the sound I, and that just honestly calmed me down in itself. And not having any music, her giving me that time to just be in this space that I need to just let go. And when I opened my eyes, I was in a whole nother state of mind, and my body is relaxed right now. And I'm just so happy that, again, her and I were able to figure something out. But all right, my camera died, but where I left off was when I expressed that, my father's response was just, well, why don't you leave then? Wow, okay, cool. So I'm not gonna leave. But thank you anyway, I guess, for trying to see. And note that, it took time before I could be able to make this video to go back and have these conversations, or to revisit these conversations that to me appear to be lack of support from my parents, to tell them that this is what I felt at that moment. And I've forgiven my father. We've had this conversation, and from his understanding, he thought that what I was saying was everything was on them, and everything was I'm trying to point fingers. And I'm I understand your position, but that's not what I meant. I get it, but that was very hurtful for me at that time, because I already felt like I didn't have support. Yeah, so moving through with therapy, I was there once a week, which was good. And throughout my time there, I was able to have, several breakthroughs as to, okay, what are my triggers of anxiety? And most of it was control, trying to be in control of things. And there were times while being home that I would be so excited about my enlightenments, and okay, the world is just revolving around love, peace, and kindness, and I just want everyone to be a part of that, and it all starts here, and everyone come to eat these greens, and everyone come do this, and if you didn't want to be a part of that, I'm no, you need to do it. And my younger sister, she said something very valuable to me, and it took me some time to unlearn that, but she's you need to stop telling people, you have to stop telling people that they need to do something. I'm Okay, it took me some time to understand that, but I get it because I can't put that on to somebody because someone's path is not going to be the same as mine, and how someone sees or values, you know, certain things in life that I do, they're not going to value it the same way. So I have to relieve myself of that stress because I'm not in control. Like I can't do that. I can't carry that for someone. Later, towards the end of February, early March, I started my first business, Yoga with Nay, which was always a thing that I wanted to do. Was I feeling anxious about it? Yeah, I think that was a measure of like just the natural human emotion of anxiousness. And just like, okay, like we're really about to start something and this could take off and this is yours, this is your baby. That in itself opened up a lot of opportunities for me, not just opportunities as in like work opportunities, but just, you know, opportunities for me to grow and opportunities for me to meet other people and to even connect and work with my friends on creative and inspirational and personal development and spiritual developmental levels of work, to have conversations and to become connected with other people, which is one thing that I truly value, is just connecting with other people who are like-minded and creating, having that space to create when I didn't really have anything else to do. Like, yeah, okay, I've done YouTube, I have a blog, but you know, yoga was something that I genuinely enjoy doing because that's just who I am. It's a part of me, but it also is my life in many different ways. And so that was a gift and a highlight of 2018, was doing that. But also on the flip side, in starting your own business, it is a very stressful venture. So there was, again, triggers of anxiety. How am I going to run a business, also work full-time, and I'm my own everything? Like, I'm my own promotion, my own marketing, my own graphics, my own bookkeeper. Like, I'm everything to myself, and I also serve a lot with my role for my full-time and just having like a regular life. So that also, like, that balance, I didn't know where that could be. Waking up with the anxiety, going to bed with the anxiety of like, okay, like how can I balance these two day to day, minute by minute, not trying to take everything on at one time, because that was something that I tried to do, was try to take on everything at one time. Also try to have the space to create, and it being, sometimes it feeling like it's being forced or it just not coming, or even losing the motivation to create, which also happened and came with the depression episodes that I went through. Was just lack of everything. I lost touch with a lot of stuff because just over time it became very overwhelming, and I just didn't want to do most of it. But prior to me like taking this nap, I was literally lying there just like, Lord, please just take this anxiety away, take it away. I don't want to feel it right now. I don't want to feel it. It hurts too much. And I'm doing deep breathing exercises while I'm lying there just so that I can go to sleep easy and rest a little bit easier. And I eventually drifted off, but like to know that like once you really just let things go. And I prayed this morning, I prayed before I took this nap, I prayed even when I sat down this morning to begin to do my long list of things to do that aren't, all of the things aren't even done yet. Today is not even done yet, and it's not even noon. And I did my affirmations for my business, and I'm like, we're just going to flourish. We have no choice but to flourish. I even thought about giving up today, like already. I thought about giving up. I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it. And I had to talk myself out of it. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And this is why I can't do it. It's because there's blessings on the other side of all of this. There really is. I'm reminding myself now that this is bigger than me. It's bigger than me, and I have to continue to push through. There were times where I talked about leaving to my mom, and she's like, well, what about healthcare? And I'm like, what about it? Like, I just want to be free. I just want to be free. I just want to live life, and I just want to create. Like, why does healthcare have to stop me? I just don't understand. Also, the cherry on top of that, becoming more spiritually attuned to how the world was shifting and how other people are becoming more awake, and how I myself is becoming more awake and more conscious, dealing with duality and trying to like figure out duality of spiritual experiences and reality experiences. Majority of the beginning of my therapy was the conflict of me not wanting to be here. And I'm not talking about suicide, I'm not talking about offing myself, I'm talking about being a part of reality and being a participant in this world today, because my head has always been in the clouds, and in hindsight it makes a lot of sense as to who I am today and like how I've become awakened to who I am today, because I've always been psychic. I've always been a visionary. I've always been a dreamer. I've always been able to foresee things and pick up on things before they've actually happened in reality. But also living in my brain, in my own space, in a space of infinite potential, and like not having to explain or not having to justify and explaining are the same things, but just not having to, I could exist, like I could exist in my spiritual realm. And so I lived in my head majority of this year, because one, it was freeing for me. Two, I could create there. That's where I dreamed, and that's where everything is. But I could not come back down. Like, I know when to become aware of, like, okay, like we have to come back down to earth. We have to be a participant of reality. Like, we have to be grounded here, and we have to be social, and we have to do this, and we have to do that. But before, that is what caused majority of my anxiety, was that I did not want to be here in reality. There's a lot of projections here, not just like the projections that you can create yourself. These are the projections, again, of the weights of other people, the expectations of, oh, you're supposed to be doing this, and how come you're not doing this by now, and shouldn't you have been done that by now, and you can't do that, and are you sure? I wouldn't do that. Well, this is all you. Like, I don't want it. I don't want that on me. I just don't. I don't want it on me. And so now what I've grown, or my experiences, both therapy and my experiences at Four Warriors through meditation heavily, was that I can live above all that, but I still have to be, a part. I have to be here because this is why I'm here. I am a light worker. Like, I have to help people. Like, if I were to ascend and be done, then I'm not living my assignment. I'm not living my fullest life, and I'm not living my greatest potential, because I'm not supposed to be ascended yet. Doing that because this is my own playing field. This is my conscious space, my creative playground. I can do that, but I also have to bring these selective things here on earth and share that. And that's what I'm doing now, is just like projecting out where I live, like my headspace. What I want to see and how I want to live my life, and create the spaces that I didn't have and that I wished I had. I know that I'm hard to be seen right now, but I just want to say, keep dreaming and watch this thing come into your reality. You have to create this. create what it is that you want. If you see and you feel it, you can create it and make it a reality. And my heart is skipping beats right now. My heart is skipping so many beats right now. I feel like a producer, to be honest, but I'm just really just in here vibing. I'm working. That's what my assignment is, and knowing that has definitely lessened a lot of my anxiety. And it's funny because I have I call him my spiritual advisor, and then I have my therapist, and then I also have my spiritual mother who does my Reiki healing, and they've all been like very, very pivotal people in my whole year and just like my personal and spiritual development. And everything has been in alignment this year. Things that I would talk about in therapy will be talked about in meditation. And so once my therapist said, "You're just having internal temper tantrums," I'm like, "No, that's what it feels like. Like if I can scream, I can scream, but I don't know. I don't have the space to do that, and I'm not going to inflict self-harm on myself. Like, I know that I'm stronger than that." And then my spiritual advisor would say, he's like, "Well, you know, your anxiety is not really anxiety. Your anxiety is you not allowing yourself to be free. So if you want to be who you truly are, then just let that happen. Let your inhibitions go." And I'm like, "Oh, I want to let it go. There's just so many things to consider," which there's not, because it comes back to me. April through May were some highs and lows. I did begin to pick up traveling again. My business was flourishing, which was great. My friends are doing great. They're also becoming more awakened and more in tune with self and their paths and just going for it. So in this moment, I know that I'm not alone, and the lows will always come back to me. The lows, it was at a point where I realized that triggers are nothing but external stimuli, but they only become triggering if I allow someone else to put their finger on my trigger, and I can't afford that to happen. So becoming aware to not relinquish my power to some of the things that might tick me off, or like that may overwhelm me, and like taking time to take my time and taking one step at a time. That was a mantra for months, especially within like the late spring and throughout the summer, was like, "Shorty, one step at a time. We have to take it one step at a time." Like, you want to do so much, which is fine, but we have to reel it in, and we have to listen, we have to be mindful, and we have to like check in with self. And that was also kind of like a hard piece for me sometimes, was just like checking in with self. And I'm happy, you know, therapy was working, because I was able to catch myself in the tracks when I would lose touch of self, and I would be able to bring myself back into the present. In June, I became super aware of how I self-talk to myself, my self-criticism, my inner critic, and the biggest thing was self-sabotage. It was one thing for me to not feel supported by others, which I think is another conversation, and like a big question that I ask myself is like, what does support even mean? Like, what does that mean? Is this just my expectation of others, which in turn could be hurtful for yourself? And I experienced that with my mother. Was like, I realized that I felt like she wasn't there for me throughout this year when I needed that comfort. Like, when I say that I went through this alone, I feel like I went through this alone, but I wasn't alone. I had other people in positions to help me, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But it just, you know, when you have that expectation of like, oh, like they'll always be there, sometimes they aren't there because they don't have the tools or resources to do that, or they were never taught how to be there. And dealing with mental health in a Black household, we don't have the tools to help one another. Not always, like now, and this is why I'm here to talk about it, because hopefully I can help other people not feel like they're alone, but just have these conversations and just be open to having them. And that's okay. So I had to forgive my mother for in my expectation, and I told her that, like, I forgive you because that was my expectation, was for you to be there, and I can't hold on to resentment for you not being there when you were there in other spaces, but just not the one space that I needed you to be there. And that's okay, because we all are out here projecting, you know, our expectations onto other people, and they don't even know it half the time, and then we're the ones that's mad. And that's fine, but we have to bring it back and be like, oh, okay, like, do they even know? And can they even carry this weight? So I had to learn how to nurture myself, and I had to learn how to comfort myself and truly be there for myself, because again, like, yeah, I know that I'm not alone in this, but like at the end of the day, I can't be the one talking to myself crazy and wanting to give up. There was many times where I just wanted to throw it all away. Like, I was at the point, like, would anybody notice? Because I don't care. I don't want it. I just didn't want it. I didn't want it anymore. The spiritual gifts, the experiences, the business, I didn't want it. The job, I didn't want it. I just, like, needed nothing. No expectation. But I had to learn how to encourage myself through it all. And that was the point in my therapy where, due to finances, I wasn't able to continue therapy for like 2 to 3 weeks. I told myself, you know, I'm comfortable with this because this will give me a chance to ride this bike without training wheels and just see if I can do this by myself. And I surprised myself. I surprised my therapist. When I got back, she's like, oh my God, like, you've been doing great. Like, from what you're telling me, you know, your affirmations and you speaking to yourself and your meditation group and your own practices, it really sounds like you are being present and you are walking through this, becoming more aware of the world around you and how you respond to that versus reacting to that. As the summer progressed, I did go on through therapy. It began to dwindle down from seeing her once a week down to every other week. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable with that. I began to travel more. That's when I went to New Orleans. Also went to New York, and it seemed like every time I went to go travel, I always began to feel more anxious. And I realized I was feeling anxious was because I felt a lot of transformation coming. And I've been lacking on turning the camera on, mainly because my anxiety has been very high lately. Just like right before I even came here to New Orleans, I was not mentally, I was not in a good space. And shout out to my sister for feeling my vibe and like coming through, and she was like, your energy is not right, so let me just help you out and help you pack so that you can just get there and get to that space where you need to be, and you know, you handle the rest from there. But I think what really had my anxiety so high is I take full responsibility for putting off packing. Also, I just kind of felt like fear. I'll just go ahead and say that, just fear. And I can't really acknowledge what, I mean, okay, let me talk through this. Fear was on the level of me knowing that this where I am now, I'm about to enter into a new plane of elevation. So I guess just not, I don't want to say that I fear the unknown, because I don't, but maybe subconsciously I do. I don't know. It's really hard to place my finger on it. I just know what I was feeling. I just wanted to scream. All I could do was pray the night of me going to the shower, or the morning, because of course I didn't go to sleep. But the morning of me before going to the airport, I was in the shower and I just surrendered to God and I cried. And July was a good month because once I was able to get to New Orleans, where I helped my friend Courtney with her own nonprofit, which was beautiful. It's called Bloom. I was very honored to be a part of that elite group of professional dancers there as just a yogi, with people who dance with like various artists and that are artists themselves and just march to the beat of their own drum. And to be considered an artist in that space, I was like, oh, I really am an artist, and my art form is something that's totally different that a lot of people don't understand. Prior to me actually landing here, I had my own breakthrough where I realized that I am an artist, and the space that my good friend Courtney has invited me in for her Bloom summer experience basically kind of confirms that I am. And I never thought that I would. Well, I mean, I have always affirmed for myself that I am. I've always said that yoga is my art form. But to actually be seen and invited into a space as an artist was an honor. And that kind of confirmed that affirmation for me that, wow, I am an artist, and I'm surrounded by an elite team of artists who have a whole repertoire of things that just like, y'all are lit. And I'm here in that space sharing that with them, on top of also her providing me with the opportunity to be able to bring my tour here while I'm here. And that was a lot of what my biggest struggle also was this year, was how to convey how I live my life. Because it's not just doing yoga, first of all. It's not just doing yoga, because yoga isn't poses. And I feel like that's where I'm not conforming. I'm not conforming with like the abundance of Instagram poses and like making self-care look cute and trendy, because it's not. It's a lot of hard work. We are already light beings, but to know that and to embrace that and to be willing to move with it is not easy. Any person who is just filled with positivity and who's always just like, you know, trying to see the positive and just spread love and kindness and all that jazz, you can ask them and they can tell you that this is not easy work. Like, you have to get down and dirty with yourself. The truth isn't always pretty. It isn't always soft and coddly. It hurts a lot of times, and that often is with ourselves. So to be in a space with artists and other light beings who were going through that same space, and we had our own sisters circle group, and that was awesome because we brought a lot of light to what we were going through, and we were there to support each other, and it was so good and fulfilling. The rest of the summer, it was pretty cool. I definitely like began feeling like I was coming back to self. I also noticed throughout that time I began to be sought out to help others, and I just felt like I was in no position to help anybody else through their stuff. But then I also realized that light sees light, and even though I'm going through my own stuff, my stuff is bigger than me. And I know I skipped over my Free Your Mind tour. I put myself on tour this summer was because I felt like I had something to share and I had something to show. The Free Your Mind Soul Yin Summer Series 2018, and it just so happens to be kicking off in Los Angeles, California. look at God. And the idea came to me on the trip. And we're just going to take advantage of the resources that he has given me, and just move forward. Just get that energy out there, leave my mark, cultivate, drop my seeds. And I'm actually about to go to this very, very small event. It might be more of a private session, but I'm going to unveil the Soulyan flow, which I've never really done before. And like I said, it just all came to me on this trip. Aside from other seeds that have been planted, and now they're just connecting and it's just starting to grow. The experiences that I create are experiences for you to, one, you have to be there in person to feel and see and to experience. And I can't do that off an Instagram post. Like, you're not going to get it, so I'm not going to try. And so the anxiety was, well, how do I shine my light in this manner, but also expand and grow, but not conform? September was a cool month because I began to detox. Towards the end of August, September, I mindfully committed to myself that, okay, I'm starting to return back to my physical body now, and I feel like there's always a root of everything, and so my anxiety is rooted from something, and I need to do a detox. So I did a detox throughout September, and I began to become more intentional with vitamins and supplements to help balance out my hormones, and to also clear up my skin, because my skin was not doing well at all. It was not doing well throughout this year. It was definitely reflective of what was going on the inside, and all of the anxiety and how I was tensing up. I realized I tensed up a lot in my gut, which in the specific area where I realized I was tensing was my solar plexus, which is the center for your power and your courageousness and your willpower, all the things that I need to just propel me through. It was all blocked up. I just committed myself to detoxing, and so I went through that, and I was very, very open to whatever it is that came up for me in that time, to truly, truly sit with it, and to be open and to heal and to uproot, not just snip, but like uproot these things, and to fill those voids with positive things and love of myself, so that that can grow into something that flourishes, which is me, because I want to flourish. I want to be out here winning, and I see that for myself, and I'm going to achieve that for myself. Here we are. We are here, and I'm tired and I'm exhausted. Expressing that now, I express that in meditation with my group, but I just feel like today I was like, okay, we're coming back into self. And I also had to remind myself of that last time, but like this time it's just like I'm starting to see the benefits of it, and it's like, okay, either you can choose to tear yourself down through this, or you can choose to pick yourself up where you are now and trust this healing process and continue to move forward, and encourage yourself doing that. In doing so, I even have, I don't know if y'all can see, added a new message on my mirror. This is what do you call it, liquid chalk. That up there is a Sharpie, but I just had to, I can't afford myself to just wake up every morning and start tearing myself down anymore. I can't do it. October, I went out to California with my friend Courtney, and that was an amazing experience. And we truly, truly challenged ourselves to liberate ourselves from our own inhibitions and our own boundaries that we placed on ourselves, which were all false. And we can truly just be free-spirited beings, just like how people out in California live, and be the most authentic expression of ourselves and God. And so that brought a lot of clarity to me when I returned home. Although I made the announcement before I left, I forgot to mention that I took a sabbatical from teaching again because I was beginning to feel burnt out, and I just wanted to spend time, one, pouring back into myself, and two, yoga, the practice, asanas, is not the only thing that I do, and that's not the only thing that I have for myself as far as my business and as far as me personally. Is I am more than just an instructor. I am a teacher. I want to get out and educate people on mindfulness, meditation, yoga, because these are all broad concepts, and especially within our community, I want to educate people on what it is and how it works, especially within the brain. I have a degree in psychology that I'm going to use and I'm going to flex. I love research. I do. I love research, and I'd be damned if I don't conduct my own research as a Black yoga psychologist, which I proclaim myself to be. So I'm going to take time for myself to do the things that God has called me to be and sit in that space. The remainder of this year has been nothing more than just filling my cup back up and being in stillness so that I can hear and see and feel what is happening and not run away from it or to be fearful or to feel like it's unattainable, but to be present in my own space, to continue to expand my creative passions and my artistic abilities, and to discover new things about my artistry and just myself, getting back into the things that I've loved that I haven't touched since I've moved back home from New York, such as my wellness side of like getting into herbs and alchemy and creating, whether it be videos or, you know, new expansions of other projects with other people, just getting in front of the camera and just being me. And I know that this gift that God has given me is bigger than me, and I keep saying that because it is bigger than me, but this is also an expression of Him, and that this is also something that could liberate a lot of people just by me breaking the ice on that. And so I'm still working on me. Healing is not linear. Do I want to take back what has happened to me this year? Heck no, I don't want to take it, because I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly where I need to be. And, you know, the why to all of this will reveal itself in due time. And in fact, it is always revealing itself piece by piece, bit by bit, stroke by stroke. The canvas is only getting brighter, and I'm just here to help. I'm just being intentional with nurturing myself and returning back to a piece, that piece of me that won't ever change, which I guess is my true self, but also being that conduit of unmovable, boundless energy that comes from God Himself. And I refer to God as God because I do believe in God. I also believe in the universe. I also believe in creators. I also believe in the divine. They are all the same thing to me. But if you ask me who my divine is, it is God Himself. And I will not ever lose sight of that. He is the light. He shines His light through me so that I can shine my light through others. And I want other people to do that more than anything. So I hope that this video helps someone out there. I know it's very, very long. I just wanted to share my story. If you're out there and you feel like you are alone and that your world is caving in, your walls are caving in, your chest is tight, take a breath, a few deep breaths, and I want you to know that you are not in this alone, and that keep your eyes on the light and you will get yourself out of your darkness, and you will also move through so many different levels of life and levels of self, with learning and unlearning and growing and expanding, and watch who you become. It's never ending. You are timeless. I am timeless, and you are powerful. I am powerful, and I'm here today to say that I own my power and I stand in my light. It took me weeks to do this, months actually. It took me months to do this video because I was fearful, but I can no longer be fearful because my purpose is here to drive myself and is here to drive others. So keep your head focused, keep it cleared, keep it protected, keep yourself protected. Love yourself, love others, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And from one light being to the next, I love you and you got this. And I hope that you flourish, and I hope that you find your glow again if you feel like you've lost it. Your life is worth living. You are enough. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. I hope I helped someone out there. Thank you. Namaste.